Hello, everyone. So, welcome to Tea with Sparkses. In this weekly session, we will go through some of the updates from the Atlassian ecosystem. And this week, there are some updates that I really want to talk about. And by the way, if you're new to this channel, please also subscribe because we make regular content and we talk about Jira, we talk about Atlassian tools, and we have this channel where we of course focus on Atlassian updates, but we also have other channel where we make tutorials and we talk a lot about Jira. Basically, you can go to my Ravi Sagar channel. And by the way, we make this video, but this will also go to the podcast, so you can listen to this session, these updates, or you can watch this video, or you can also read the updates, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter because we will send these updates to you by email if you're subscribed, of course. So let us talk about the updates. Now the first update is about Jira projects. Now we all know that Atlassian announced, I think few months back, that projects will be renamed to Spaces. So we don't have any project anymore in Jira, and this change will start appearing. So if you go to your Jira instance, you might already be seeing something called as a space, not a project. In my case, if I take a look here, you can see it says Spaces on the left hand side, right, which is a bit sad. I'm not happy about it. And you can see here that it says Space Settings. So if you go to your project or your Jira instance, I think you should just see Spaces, which is really, really sad. I'm not happy about it. And I think a lot of people are not happy about it because it is confusing. And we have talked about it. So personally, and also I don't think logically it makes sense. And I know people are saying that, in Jira projects were never really projects. But I think I know the term project or the way Jira projects work, they're not like a typical project where you have an end date and where you have, a start date, for example. I know that is true, but still the term project itself will cover, or it used to cover, a wide, I think 99% of those scenarios where you actually need to work on a project or some ongoing project or maybe a container where your team can collaborate. Of course, now we are calling it as Spaces, or no, I mean, not we. We will still continue to call it as projects, but it is actually very confusing for me personally because I have to explain it to my clients that this is a space, which is not really a space. It is actually a project. So it is actually confusing, really confusing. And unfortunately, this change is now there. I mean, there is a timeline here. I believe this timeline is talking about this change that will be rolled out soon in all the instances. I think in the free instance of Jira, we now see Spaces, or the rename actually happened, but sadly, that is the right word. This will also happen in premium or enterprise instances. So yeah, that is it. This is basically a bit sad, not so great update, but that is how things are. Not everything is in our control. So in case you are wondering why I don't see my projects, just look for Spaces. Okay, so the second update is about Rovo agents. Now, Rovo agents, we of course have been trying Rovo agents in our company. We developed a couple of apps just to evaluate and take a look at the capabilities of Rovo. It seems promising, and Rovo, I believe, will evolve. It has already evolved since we first looked at it. I have never really started using it for a lot of my use cases, or especially when I work with my clients. But I can see, few things where it can really be helpful, even in its current state. Now, this update is about having scenarios in your Rovo agent. So I believe what this update is all about is the ability of Rovo agent, where you can have some kind of conditions. I believe that if the user is asking for these things, then do this. If the user is asking about something else, then do that. So that is what actually one of my question was when I first looked at Rovo. Yes, you can have scenarios in it, not scenarios, like prompts in it, but with the help of scenarios, I think this will be a bit more useful and configurable, and I think the agent will definitely be efficient, right, to help the users. Because when someone is trying to ask a question, you don't really know what they are exactly. It is a bit difficult to understand and read and parse that thing, that what they are looking for. So I think having some scenarios will definitely help. It might do the same thing, but maybe based on some specific prompt, maybe you want to redirect the user to something else, right? So this is good. We will of course look and evaluate and see how it goes. But yeah, it is good to know that Rovo agents are improving. The next update is about the Rovo chat in Bitbucket Cloud. Now this is in open beta, and there is a page here which will show you a bit more about what Rovo chat can do in Bitbucket. And of course, because we are talking about Bitbucket, we are of course talking about helping developers, people who work with code. For example, it says here faster PR reviews and onboard to new repos, get project context from Jira and Confluence, instant documentation summaries, understand code, team insight. So I think it seems like it is doing a lot. So we just need to try and evaluate it. So if you're trying to use RovoChat or wondering what RovoChat can do with Bitbucket, do take a look at this feature. I think you need to probably configure it or enable it somewhere, which will let you start using it. And I would say the thing with the Rovo, not really RovoChat, but in general, I think there should be some kind of a group-based or admin-only features. So basically, whenever there is a new feature, I know Atlassian is not always listening to the users, but I think these new features, we don't really mind new features, but I think there should be some way in these tools, Jira, Bitbucket, Confluence, where these features can be enabled only for few users, right? Maybe admin, and then let the admin understand how it works, and then maybe admin can then further educate the users. I think when these features are just enabled by default for everyone, either you can enable it or disable it if that is if possible. But if it is enabled, it is enabled for everyone, and then it is a problem. Then we have to Jira admins and consultants have to spend time with the users and explain them that please wait, this is a new feature. Don't really just jump to these new buttons, right? So same thing with Rovo chat. I would love to spend more time and figure out what exactly it can do and the value it will bring. But I thought, of course, I'll mention that yes, Rovo chat is there in Bitbucket Cloud. The next update is about the automation rules. Now, in automation rules, whenever you do something like an action, you just have the option to do that, right? For example, maybe you want to transition the issue. Maybe you want to add a comment. Maybe you want to send an email. So these actions or what you want to do with the automation, these things will happen instantly when the rule is run, and if based on some conditions or scope. But what if you want to delay something? Maybe you want to transition, but you want to wait for some time, or maybe you want to wait for some other event or a condition. But this is something really interesting because I wanted to understand how this rule will work in reality. It says here delay until, and it says here that automation workflows often need to pause and wait for the right moment, which I understand. So talking about the use cases and talking about when this can be used. And I know from my experience, sometimes because we do a lot of work with script owner, we sometimes want to wait for something, although all the conditions are true, but we just want to wait. And when it comes to waiting, we are then we then have to decide what to use, because in Jira, of course, there is always a service. I think it is also there on Jira Cloud. It is there on Jira Cloud Forge, where you have like a scheduler. So talking about data center or script runner, and if you compare it with cloud, on data center we have listeners, right, using script runner. So you basically run a listener that will do something based on an event. But when that event is true, it will happen. The other thing is you have a job. Right, job is something that will run based on a cron. Right, you configure a cron and you run a script, and if based on your scripts or whatever you have written in your script, if that is true, then that thing will happen. For example, you may want to send an email, maybe you want to close all those issues. But what if you want to combine these two things? Like you want to basically write an automation where you want to execute it, but you want to wait. And that wait, how you want to wait, why you want to wait, that is of course not, it is based on your business logic or requirement. But this is interesting because this is something that will, I believe, solve problems, and it will of course enable you and help you to configure or achieve those automations that were probably not possible earlier. Because you don't really always want to create a scheduler. Sometimes you just want to do a normal automation, because these things work differently, right? If you create a scheduler, or if you want to do something on a regular basis, you are of course not going to miss out on those events where, or you're going to miss out on the event specific automation. Sometimes you need to do something straight away, like based on the events that we have in issue, or maybe based on some transition. But in some cases, if you want to wait, I think using this automation now you can wait for some time. I think it is not really indefinite wait. I think you can delay until 10 days. That is what it says. So I will of course spend some time, and I will probably figure out and come up with some real world examples that I can remember, because I've done these things in the past, but now we have it in the automation rule, which is great. And this is good thing about automation. Automation rules, of course, are nice, great, but as compared to someone who is coming from script runner, there is a limit of what you can do with automation rules, right? But still, when it comes to Jira Cloud, these things are getting better day by day, which is really a good news. Now let us talk about the upcoming event. Now we all know that next week or this week, this week actually, we have the Atlassian big event. So Atlassian big event is happening in Barcelona, I believe, and Team 25, that is what it is called now. I'm always confused with the naming convention of these big events. It used to be called as I forgot, Atlassian something, but now it is called as Team 25. So this is happening in Barcelona, and I'm not going, unfortunately. But if you are in Bangalore, I believe there is a live. I think it is live. So it seems like it is live. It is basically the keynote. Maybe, even if it is not live, I think you should definitely go. And I can see 152 people are going. And I think it is happening where? I think it is probably happening in the Atlassian office. Yep, new Atlassian office. New, they also have I think I don't know how many offices they have, but it says new Atlassian office. So great. If you are in Bangalore on 9th of October, 11:30 a.m., I think you should be there. So I thought I'll probably just mention this, and unfortunately, I'm not going. Okay, so just a couple of other things. Now, we recently made a video and we talked about requirement management in Jira. And when it comes to requirement management in Jira, it is not always clear and easy and straightforward to use Jira, because when it comes to requirement management, depending upon whether you want to do it for a small company or just maybe you want to build a small feature, or maybe you want to do this requirement gathering or requirement management for a corporate client where, or maybe for a bank where we are talking about millions of dollars, and and maybe you need to have like a robust system. So Jira can be used for doing requirement gathering, but based on my experience, I think Jira should not be used to do, I don't know the proper word, I think proper requirement management or requirement management, which is like industry standard. You can use Jira for lightweight requirement management. I think lightweight requirement management is definitely possible. You can definitely create a project called requirement and then have some workflow, or connect it with, of course, Confluence, and maybe work on some ideas. You can probably think of using JPD, Jira Product Discovery, uh, along with, of course, normal Jira projects. And then once you decide something that it should be delivered, or maybe once those requirements are not even delivered, I think delivery comes much later. I think first you should try to work on the requirement, just start tracking those requirements somewhere in Jira in our project, and then have someone approve it, make sure all the necessary information is there and captured, and the requirements are frozen, for example, if you want to freeze it. And then once your requirement is complete, approved, and then you might decide that, okay, it will now go to a backlog. So you can do lightweight requirement management in Jira, but there are tools in the industry for doing proper industry standard, corporate level, enterprise level requirement management. So Jira can be used. Definitely it can be used. And good thing about Jira is that everything is within one tool. But in case you're wondering, or if in case you are not sure whether how and should Jira be used, I think this post, and there is a video as well, will definitely help. So I recommend you to go through this blog post. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about is this video of the week. Now, we recently made a video where we talked about requirement management, and along with requirement management, I also mentioned and I talked about project managers. Now, project managers are those people who should be really good in Jira. Of course, they're not Jira admin, but they need to know each and everything about how to use Jira for running their project, for planning and tracking. They should be really good in searching. They should be really good in dashboards, reporting, right? So, and of course, Scrum and Kanban. So I think I've made few videos in the past where I talked about making sure that your project managers are trained. But at the same time, and I'm sharing this based on my experience. I work with a lot of project managers, and they are not really project managers. They are just managing a project, or they are just people who did few courses. So they are not like really, especially if we talk about a tech company, they are just people who happen to know something about Jira, and they somehow became, or they reached a position, but they're not really good enough. They're not skilled. They're not at all competent in using Jira or similar tools. So when you deal with these people, you will get really angry, and you will get frustrated. And especially if you're a Jira admin, then it will be very difficult for you to handle and manage those people, because they will be asking you for doing weird things with Jira. They will always be complaining about something not working. They will probably give you some old examples that in their previous company, Jira was really good and configured for them, but now in this company, it is not really working well for me. So the thing is that if you are true or real project managers, experienced, skilled project managers, don't really need a tool, and they don't really need automations and wonderful customizations that yes, we can do in Jira, but they good PMs can do project management with just a notepad or maybe Excel sheet, right? They don't really need those automations or plugins or reports. You can do a lot of these things without using any tool or bare minimum tooling. So in this video, I just shared my frustrations and shared some pointers that might help you, especially if you're a Jira admin or a Jira consultant. And yeah, that is it. That is all I wanted to talk about in this session, in this video, in this podcast. And once again, if you want to get these updates by email, then we have a newsletter, ravisagar.in/newsletter or sparksys.com/newsletter. And in case you are wondering what I do, I run a company called Sparksys. We provide Atlassian consultancy company. We help our clients get the most out of Atlassian tools. And we can definitely help you with your journey or maybe your challenges. If you're struggling with Atlassian tools, maybe those tools are not working really well for you, we can definitely help you. So reach out to us if you need any help. All right, that is it. That is all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you very much. Bye bye.